Yo, 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 here we are. Weed for the People, episode 13. We got a special guest, Sean from Murphy's Ridge here today. We appreciate you coming out. Yo, sometimes I get in, do a little monologue, talk about the struggle, talk about overcoming. All the guests that we have on are in the same battle, right? Overcoming something, battling to stay alive in California cannabis. But when I look at this man here, Sean, man, he takes overcoming to the next level. So just thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you having me on, Elliot. So, yeah, overcoming shit is definitely probably my middle name, even though it's Patrick.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, bro. Stoked to be here. Episode 13 is probably a fitting number for me, seeing how I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna talk a little bit how we know each other, and then we'll get into the history and you know, more importantly, you know, we want to, or not, maybe not more importantly, but importantly, we want to make sure we highlight the brand and why it's good flower and the story behind it, and you know, as we try to do on this show, always promoting those that are from the industry, that are, you know, doing it the right way, that are bringing value to the customer. So I think me and Sean crossed paths around 2016 or so. Like we had done maybe one or two hoop house grows up north with the little crew I had put together. And then we try to blow it up to like 5 different properties. So we didn't really like have a handle on what that meant, right? And so all of a sudden we're doing depths. The first harvest is coming in like August. And so like there was 5 different properties, but like when you're hitting 3 hoops at 5 properties at one time, yeah, that's a lot of fucking weed, right?
I know.
So we were out of position. We were all fucked up. We were like trying to gather every trimmer or whatever that we had. So Caleb, who's about to be on, you know, who's always been a forefather and a mentor to me, was connected us, right? Really connected him, Sean, to our partner, and he came through to the farm to do some trimming. So talk a little bit about the trim work, and then we'll go back to the history of you know, how you got here, you know, your incident in Patterson and so on and so forth.
Definitely was stoked to meet you guys when we ended up doing that trim work, because Caleb hit me up and says, "Hey, bro, these guys are fucking running around like chickens with their heads cut off when it comes to a bunch of shit needing to be trimmed up. Do you think you guys might be able to help them out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." Because we're doing probably like 3 warehouses for Caleb at the time, couple hundred lighters, a greenhouse project, and then also the mothership, if you will, that was coming online slowly but surely. When we met over in Livermore, we had mutual buddies, because I knew the owner of GOE, you know, from just like some of my crew,
right,
that does the Burning Man shit,
right,
you know, does all that stuff. So it was kind of like, and it was kind of nice because Livermore was real close to home,
right?
Because San Ramon was, you know, where I kicked it, and I was like, "What? These guys want me to look at a job in Livermore?"
Right?
Sure, not a problem.
Yeah, so we use that as like the HQ, so to speak, for the other ones. It's cool property. In fact, we were piloting a program out there, so that was like kind of the easier place to do it. And look, I'm the first to admit, it was a little bit of amateur hour going on at the growing, and Sean was just looking at us like, "Bro, I see y'all trying, but like you ain't quite got it."
No, we had a blast. We showed up and we smashed it out. We turned a lot of order into a lot of disorder, set up the stations, got everything smashed. And I don't know if we were going through at least a couple 100 pounds a week at the minimum. But what I liked about you, bro, because we just met. I knew Bill, I knew Suf, I knew those guys, but when invoices needed to be taken care of, brother, you always answered the phone. Yeah. That shit.
I still do that, by the way.
I appreciate that, because everybody knows when you're running a fucking crew, you're trying to get things done, you need to get invoices looked at. And when dudes ghost because, you know, they're at the lake or they're doing something fun, you definitely, you know, we're working our asses off. And I always appreciated that about you, bro.
I appreciate that. No, I think it's like just, I always say this even when we talk about the AR issues. It's just like, just pick up your fucking phone.
Communication is key.
Is the main thing. And then, you know, I'd never seen a crew that could trim so fast. You had some 2-3 pound guys in there.
Yeah, we had a little hodgepodge of like 60 different people sometimes. You know what I mean? Like just smashing it. Everybody trustworthy, everybody on point, showing up to work on time. You know, that's the thing about running trim crews that, you know, I did it for like almost 6 years after my injury, because it was like, it was fun. It was a challenge. You know, it started out small and ended up kind of, you know, big and a headache, because when you're managing, you know, like I have 50 to 100 humans at like different, you know, sites. And the trim world is a trippy world, because man, you know, all kinds of weirdness goes down. Trimmers fall in love. Trimmers hate each other. You know, all kinds of shenanigans. And then you always got to, you know, you got to handle security. You know, all the different stuff. You can't be leaving trim sites smelling like dank to go to 7-Eleven to get a fucking big gulp. So, you know, a bunch of jack boys follow you back to the grow.
Right.
And you got to explain this to people, and it just gets it's exhausting, but fun.
Yeah, the one thing I always appreciated, you know, I maybe it was, you know, 2-3 years in at this point, but you could tell that, you know, Sean had been around. He was like the real legacy, the real, you know, OG. And he was, you know, when I would get up there, and I was going up there a lot back then, you know, we would always chat. I always said this hour is going to be fucking easy, because we both like to talk, and he would be, you know, the same thing I think that, you know, Caleb did, but just gaming me up, you know, kind of on little like nuances of how you move and how you work your trim crew.
You guys do shit though at that bigger level. You know what I'm saying? You guys have been doing the retail thing. Even when like Caleb told me he was going to open a dispensary, bro. It's like 2007. We're burning one in the living room. 7 a.m, fucking Bloomberg money is on. We're listening to some shit. We're talking game, just smoking a Jaybird, doing a couple things. He goes, I think I'm going to open a dispensary. I said, bro, lose my fucking number. Right. And we start laughing. Yeah. He's serious and I'm semi-serious, thinking like, bro, you're going to put everybody on Front Street. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't cool. But that's kind of where that legal part started. You know, in 2007, Ridge Health and Wellness.
Right.
I'm kind of going back a little bit, but that's obviously, you know, how we met was through Caleb.
Right.
And you know, we were growing weed in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, I met Caleb when he was in college at Chico, buying units, just moving, you know, BC bistros, we call them, you know, BC work, you know, that shit that was like,
I was fucking a little like, I was a small time hustler.
That was the crazy weed. Like, everybody on the news is saying the strongest cannabis ever known is coming in from Canada. We're like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? It's garbage. Right. But it looked good and moved.
Yeah, I was back then. That was like my little hustle a little bit. Like, that wasn't like my official in, but you know, we had the 3-lighter, and then we'd get the BC pounds.
Well, that's how everybody started in the Bay too. Right. You know what I mean? Like, when in the late 80s, shit, even in the 90s, everybody had like little 1-light grows, 2-light grows in their closets. The equipment wasn't even up to speed. You know what I mean? People were just, you know, using 600-watt metal highlights, buying shit at like True Value Hardware. You know, the hydro scene was not what it was or is now.
No,
you know,
just
even in the 90s,
a little flood system. We were
you're making shit up. You know what I mean? You're MacGyver and stuff. Then.
And then the fucking guy with the 5-pack was like, yo, bro, you're the fucking man. So let's switch to your story a little bit, because I think that's something that's super cool. And like, just knowing you and, you know, seeing you move and, you know, now, you know, getting deeper into the legal side.
The thing. I've never been out there telling the story, trying to build Instagram pages, putting out content. Never thought, you know, I've always just wanted to be a good grower, be the best grower, run clean ass operations, put out the best product you can, let the chips fall where they may after that. Now, you know, since I'm on the greenhouse legal side, we have a cultivation license up in Murphy's, California, hence the Murphy's Ridge. We grow a little bit at elevation. It's about 2,800 feet, 2,900 feet. It's fucking puts out fuego. I mean, it's some of the best fire in the state of California. Obviously, you got all your guys up in Humboldt and Trinity and, you know, Mendo, but even those guys, they grow the best fire a little bit off the coast and a little bit elevated. You know what I'm saying? Those are the guys that grow, you know, most of the row. Now I got to get out here. I'm doing a podcast with you, which I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? We've known each other for years. Caleb's been my homie for a good 20 plus years. Got some other dudes in the game that have been in the game forever. Now I'm out here doing my thing, trying to build my brand slowly but surely, just, you know, store by store, not really trying to be the Walmart of weed, just trying to be a craft boutique, half acre of canopy. That's all we have. You know, a lot of these guys would laugh at that because it's 22,000 square feet. I'm battling against the dude with 1 million square feet or 500,000 square feet or 2 million. Who the fuck, you know, if I got it kind of correct, there's like close to 80 million square feet being cultivated in the state. All I'm saying is just keep it diverse, try to keep it, the variety stays good when we all keep it, small mom and pop type operations. And it'll keep the money here. You know what I'm saying? It'll keep all of the jobs here. It'll keep all the communities together instead of just clearing the shit out. And so that's what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? I'm basically out here every day of the fucking week. I live in San Diego. I'm from the Bay, but my farm's up in Calaveras County, which is one of the sickest counties in the state.
Cool place up there, yeah.
When it comes to growing fucking firework, they're one of the best.
Right.
They're up there with, Mendo, Humboldt, Trinity, and Grass Valley, that area, that's about it.
Right.
There's some other areas, but they're coastal. They're not elevated. They're just different. But sorry, I went off on a little.
No, that's cool, man. I know. I like giving Calaveras
to the map too. So sorry, I'm going from the 90s to now to the fucking,
I like Calaveras getting its shout out. So look, you were growing, I'll tee it up a little bit. So you're growing in this 5-bedroom house in Patterson. I think
we're going straight to the, no, let's go. Let's go.
Then we'll take it to the positive.
Don't even need to tee it up. So the elephant in the room obviously is why the fuck's this dude in a wheelchair? I got a gunshot wound at one of my grows in 2011. Okay. It was out in the Central Valley. I like to always just keep everything.
Sorry.
Don't worry, I don't give a fuck. But basically I was at one of my spots. Some dudes, were kind of coming to kick in the door and take whatever they wanted. They saw me right when they got in the front door. I obviously thought it was the cops, man. These motherfuckers were the worst jackers I've ever seen. Loudest dudes in the game. And so I thought it was the cops for sure. Last second, man, it clicks in my brain that these motherfuckers aren't yelling police. So I kind of just changed my posture from like this to being like, hey, because I ain't got no guns, nothing. I'm just a grower. That's all I am. 40 light little grow, doing my thing. Boom, I notice it ain't the fucking cops. I turn just a tiny bit at an angle just to be ready for some type of altercation. And boop, 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 few bullets go off. I wake up about 5 weeks later in the ICU. I'm fucking paralyzed from my chest down. The bullet went right through my left armpit and right out the center of my back, right at about my chest level. So I'm a T3 complete paraplegic. All I remembered was being shot and fucking just dropping like a sack of potatoes, dude. Never had that experience in my life. Didn't feel any pain from the bullet. Wasn't fucking all screaming or anything. Just fucking, the trippy thing about it is I tried fucking kind of crawling out the front door of this little McMansion spot because it's about a 4,500 square foot house that was trapped out to the fucking gills. Only spot in it wasn't trapping was basically a 3-car garage. And that was my in and out, all equipment, all fucking dirt, everything, anything that was shady was always in there. The spot was beautiful, immaculate. I'm thinking, all right, Sean, you could still fucking put this together, get out the front door. The Jack boys run right after they fucking blast me. Boom, they're gone. I think, okay, I can get out the front door. I can close the door. I think cops are going to be here, no doubt, but I can put this all to bed. That's all I remember.
Right.
I bled out on the fucking front porch of this house. Literally, this little skater kid, I think, saved my life, bro, which is crazy because I've never spoken with him since the incident, and it's been 12 years right now. It's fucking crazy. I guess he fucking put a shirt on one of the holes. I don't know. And then I woke up in an ICU at a fucking, trauma center, and I got life flighted there. I was fucked. You know what I'm saying? I died on the helicopter for like about a minute, I guess. Then I died on the way into the ER, which I didn't know any of this shit. But that was another code blue or something for about a minute and something. So they operated on me right in the ER because the doc was like, if we try to get him to OR, he's going to die. If we don't fucking do whatever, because the bullet pierced my upper lobe. So, on your left side, you only have 2 lobes in your lung because the heart takes up some space. On the right side, you have 3 lobes because the lung encompasses all that shit. The bullet pierced one of the lungs and I was just pumping out fucking blood. They were pumping liters of shit into me. Like, I guess I got 23 liters or units of blood when our body only has like 7.
That's crazy.
And so I was fucked. And anyway, they saved me. I fucking healed up and they couldn't believe it. And I had a trach in my throat, bro. I had chest tubes. I had the pike or whatever the fuck it. I hate hospitals, especially now.
Me too, yeah.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time under a lot of needles, and I spent about 4 to 5 months total after getting from ICU or life flight, trauma center, ICU to Oakland, because fucking my carrier wanted me. I'd already spent millions with Sutter, I guess, them just keeping me alive. As soon as Kaiser could get me stable enough, they were like, get into our ICU in Oakland.
Right.
So and then boom, my recovery. Before I knew it, in ICU, bro, I had like 5 nurses around my bed. We were chopping it up, just rapping about life because, for the first shit, dude, you can't talk. The ventilator prevents you,
That must have been hard for you.
Bro, my wife, no, you're right. My wife brought a board over and she said, everything's okay. And she fucking wanted me to write some shit. I was like, bro, it was crazy. But anyway, that's all about cannabis. You know what I'm saying? That's the game. I don't like to just gloss over a gunshot wound at a grow because it shouldn't be normal. Right. You know what I'm saying? We all know what's going on, what we've all experienced over the last fucking, 3-5 years with people just breaking into distros, fucking breaking into grows, doing everything. That shit's like trauma almost every time for me, but it's whatever. You know what I mean? We got to smash on life. You got to fucking be positive, optimistic, glass half full. Because if you're on the other side of the coin, it's a depressing life, period.
Right. Well, the thing that always stood out to me when we first met that I think is really cool, and then, how we opened the show, like, yo, y'all out there think you're overcoming stuff. Like, we took a little bit of a beat today, but, having that perspective is amazing. And then, as we got to know each other and we started talking a little looser, I always really enjoyed your sense of humor about it. I will leave exactly some of the things I learned.
I think sense of humors are huge in dealing with any headache and strife, right, in life.
Right.
You got to make fun of it. Otherwise, you're going to cry about it.
Yeah.
And you can do both. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, growing up in the 80s, I grew up in Fremont. Okay. I was born and raised in LA, but I kind of moved up to Fremont, California in the mid 80s. Bro, our house got raided for cannabis sales. One of my older brothers was a straight fucking convict. I was going to San Quentin to go to weddings for conjugal, so homeboy can get conjugal visits. I mean, like, I literally grew up in the most dysfunctional, fucked up family. I mean, my mom and dad are passed away, God bless them. But like, it's not how I would ever raised my kids, which I got 3 grown kids, and I'm stoked that, I was able to kind of raise them totally differently than I was, even though, I was in cannabis their whole lives. And then me getting a gunshot wound, bro, when my kids are 19, 16, and 10, and me being, on the teeter of life. And then all of a sudden I'm back, but this motherfucker pisses in a bag 5 times a day, doesn't walk, can't walk. He falls out his wheelchair. He ain't getting back in it unless it's, it's a procedure,
Right.
It's a trip, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a blessing, but cannabis is weird because like we love it, but it's like also got a lot of shit that comes with it. You know what I mean? Hence why I'm building a brand, trying to just be, a small brand, let's not let big fucking whatever
we couldn't
own our fucking industry before we even get it out the gate. You know what I'm saying?
We couldn't agree more on that. We'll see how it ends. And it's a complicated issue, and I don't want to get on a rabbit hole.
For sure.
But I do think as a store owner, at a minimum, I think you have the ability to look at the end of the day, and this is, I tell anybody that the product will, in the end, at the price, speak for itself. But giving the opportunity to what you want to see the industry to be, or trying to be a good industry steward, and maybe not giving the opportunity to somebody on the other side of that. And then, when we were down there, what I always thought was cool, you always had the, you were working the,
I was always trying to work out.
Yeah. And then I see your IG, you're doing the pull-ups, and then same shit, just funny about it. Like, oh, you got the hand pumps?
Don't you always feel a little bit better after like a walk or a little bit of exercise or whatever? And that's the thing about battles, man. It's like, yeah, I look like I'm a little extra fucked. You know what I mean?
Right.
But everybody's dealing with their own personal battles, and that's your own personal, like, worst that it's ever been. I'm blessed, bro. I've been fucked my whole life. You know what I mean? So getting shot and paralyzed at 35, I was prepared to deal with it. It's been hard. There's been days I've wanted to be like, you know what I mean? End it. I've had partners, fucking commit suicide. I've seen a lot of weird shit since I've even got injured. But at the end of the day, it's all about optimism. It's all about, moving forward, not tripping on the fucking past. If it's over, it's over. It's spilt milk. It's done. It's water under the bridge. Let's move forward. Soon as something happens, it's over. So why the fuck not try to focus on something that can be positive instead of focusing on something that was negative? Do you know what I mean?
Such a fucking...
And that's just the way it has to be, because you're not going to be happy until after you do that.
It's just powerful. And then even, I'll tee this next one up. So, you say, hey, Elliot, I'm trying to get on some shelves. I got this brand.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I got you on, and then just sometimes the way it works, hey, make sure you get this guy on. He's a friend of ours. So it gets lost a little bit in translation. By the way, by the time this fucking drops, it's going to be on a lot more shelves.
It's okay.
So anyway, I won't say where, but we're doing a grand opening. So, just
patience is a virtue.
Yes. But I really respected that too. Never reached out to me in the beginning and said, hey man, why you got me on these, 3 lower, volume shelves in the middle of, like, pick the 3, lowest performers. And so anyway, we're at one of the grand openings, and we're just shooting the shit. It's not like you called me up and we're like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh,
no,
man, they
thought about it.
They did you like that. But I think that, and this is, I think, true for anybody, but just having that attitude of like, all right, I got a little bit of a shit sandwich here. And, to be fair, I wasn't like totally, piped in, but you were like, hey, I'm going to
But it's all good though. We all have to pay our dues. Even dudes like me that have been in the game their whole fucking lives, have watched some of their buddies build some of the best brands in the game, helped them, in fact, you know what I'm saying? But I'm out there doing my own distro, doing my own in-stores, doing everything ourselves, because, the game's really scrappy right now. And just to stay afloat, you have to do this shit. If you have a bunch of people around you that you're paying to do all this shit, I don't know how you're doing it.
No acres.
There's no way you're able to stay in business.
No, suffering is it. No, there's barely anybody around that, even the people that got the fuck you money now, it's gone. So if you're not willing to suffer and hustle, it's just not that thing. But, I was impressed with as the story came full circle, and now we got a better order. We're going to roll it out. Make sure you get that Murphy's Ridge. I'm going to mention it like 3 more times. But, you were like, I'm just going to handle these 3 shelves, these 3 stores that I got, do my best job here.
It was funny though, because the first order was 16/8 of each strain, and each store was a half pound.
Right.
So we're talking about 64/8, 4 different strains. You know what I mean? And, it was a tester, a patience tester.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was thinking like, are these motherfuckers testing me? And I'm talking about, there's no profitability in a delivery like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're literally burning more fuel and 6 hours of your life just to go from Calaveras County to Monterey and, back and forth. But at the end of the day, it always starts out, that's how you build anything.
Right.
It's one step at a time.
Right.
But the thing is with all that stuff, like back to like building a small brand. And I'm not trying to be the next big giant fucking MSO or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be a boutique half acre of light dep, growing good quality flower at a price point for the customers that they're happy with, and we're all stoked. Small little circle of people. Got my distro and my cultivation, so not too many people can control our fate. You know what I'm saying? Except for retailers that want to mark up the work too fucking high. Right. That's just, it's not a good model for the cultivators. It's not. But shit! I had I'm a stoner sometimes.
Let's go get it.
I know. I just forgot what the hell I was gonna say.
Well, so here's the one. So I see you driving around the state, and I've had a little bit of this experience over.
You just reminded me.
Yeah.
So let me just elaborate on that.
See, I already knew where you were going.
No, I'm trying to build a small brand, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just and we got firework, you know, we sold all of our work in bulk all the time, just because everybody else will buy all the units.
Right.
And they'll build their own brands, you know what I mean? Or they'll do whatever the fuck they do with bulk work. But at the end of the day, I started knocking on doors, man. I wanted to get into a bunch of accounts before I even bothered any of my friends. You know what I mean? And then I went out to Modesto. Bert put me on. And then, you know, Caleb put me on a couple months later. And then now you put me on. But even when you guys put me on in Marina, Watsonville, and Patterson, bro, I went out there just like I would have went out to any of the other stores, you know what I mean, that were maybe doing a little bit more volume, just because, well, you know, you have to, you know what I'm saying? And it's like going through those tough patches will definitely make the easier patches, you know, a little bit more fruitful. But at the same time, you know, it's interesting how this plays out. You know what I mean? Right. If you don't have a bunch of fucking investor money or other people's money or some shit, because the industry last year folded a bunch of greenhouse guys.
Yeah, no, all the
$300 a unit. It was like,
and a lot of the money's just said, you know, cut off. But I look, I'm a little bummed, or whatever you want to say, ashamed that we didn't roll it out better. But I think it's important to tell this.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's important to tell the story. Which, you know, look, you got these 3 shelves, you worked them, and then by you being in Patterson for the grand opening, that's when we crossed paths. Yeah. And we started chatting it up again. And I was like, what the fuck, dog? I got you, right? And then that was kind of the beginning of rolling it out bigger. But to your point, if you're not moving around and you're not hustling with the hand you have.
Well, I'm in the stores talking to the customers. And literally, critical. Like, I'm not a huge, I made my first post on Instagram June 8th, man. Yeah, that was my son's birthday. I know the date. That's because it's, you know, was a significant date to me. Every one of the followers I have on my Instagram page, I've probably spoken with.
That's cool.
Personally. Yeah. And every one that I've gained has all been like, you know, a personal kind of thing. And I've always just tried to let them know, like, hey, if you're shopping for flower, just give us a chance to earn your business. I'm in here. We got fire. I know we got fire. I can talk hella shit and act like, oh, I know it all. I got fucking the best weed on the shelf. Dude, I just want you to give me a chance to earn your business. And if there's anything wrong, hit me up. I'll fix it. I want to be a better person. Right. You know what I mean?
And I think that you know, and I've preached this a lot, like this playbook is not super complicated, right? Which is, and like,
well, success in life isn't super complicated, but it's hard.
It's fucking hard. But being in the stores, building that relationship with the bud tender, building a relationship with the customer, which I think people underappreciate, or maybe like, it's a real relationship that they're going to have with your product and, you know, potentially you, right? And then if they meet you, even more so.
That comes back to that. We were talking for a second before we jumped on about culture.
Right.
And that's almost where and we didn't talk about it because we were going to chat for a second about
Well, Nate cut us off wherever he is.
Dude, it's
like, save it for the podcast.
So the culture, though, that's what I was going to actually say it was.
Right.
It's that killer energy, that frequency of when somebody's about to get lit.
Right.
Or somebody's like stoked they get a joint. You know what I mean? Or they fucking cop the sick ass ounce and they're fucking like, oh yeah, later on tonight, I'm going to fucking burn one with one of the homies or my wife or whoever.
Right.
That's the culture in a sense, I feel like, you know, like grabbing a bag or a cart before you fly somewhere, you know, so you have some weed when you get somewhere to where you're going. Like I was telling you, when I was my dad passed in the 90s, I was smashing up to the hospital to see my dad, but I had to go get some herb. Like literally, bro, I had to drop off an exit, dip out in Concord real quick, go to a buddy's house and grab a fucking quarter of some fire because I didn't know how long I was going to be in SAC.
Cool. Yeah,
because the culture, I mean, people change.
Right. Well,
you know,
and we were talking a little bit about it, and it's probably because I'm rocking.
Culture's kind of the vibe you get from cannabis.
It's an interesting thing. You know, people talk about the culture all the time, right? And my opinion on it, and look, obviously, the legacy, you know, in the traditional market, we stand on their shoulders, and there is a culture within the industry. But from like kind of my standpoint, it's the people first, right? Is the culture. And like,
yes,
there's an industry culture, But at the end of the day, if you're like from a character standpoint and a customer standpoint, you get it right there. The rest of it, I think, will fall into place. And when people get, you know, crossed with the culture, it's not always fair, but they see somebody that maybe isn't patient first or isn't people first.
Well, you know, that's going on in every fucking industry. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
We're very unique in our industry because we partake in a medicine or a product, a flower that is fucking amazing. Bro, I started smoking probably 6th grade, you know. My dad sold weed. So, and my brothers were all fucking crazy. And I'm the youngest of all of them. Okay. So it was I had, you know, shit in the house, you know,
Right.
I could grab a Jaybird easily.
Right.
My dad broke up pounds of weed on the table and made Mexican swag weed look like gas.
Right.
You know, stems, seeds, all that shit got put to that side, fluffy fucking, you know. So I smoked in the 6th grade and then I was like, nope, Sean, you're going to wait till summer.
Right.
Like I was like, nope, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to train. I'm going to do something like literally. And then I'm going to wait till summer. And then that's pretty much when I started smoking consistently until I went in the military. That was 92. And I even smoked a bunch of times throughout the military life. And then boom, after 96, it was off to the races. So the thing is though, is it's like weed is a unique thing that's unlike any other culture. We could talk about like people and, you know, they might like they're the culture or something, but I feel like it's not any individual or, you know, hippies or, you know, at whatever point surfers or, you know, skaters or,
Right.
you know, now it's like rappers or whoever the fuck is like going to be associated with cannabis. So they're the culture.
Right.
No, I feel like the culture I know it's a little hokey pokey, bro, but I feel like it's the stoke of being able to burn one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's to me where
everybody's trying to bottle it up, figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it's like, it's that vibe of being like, hey, bro, I'm trying to sell you a fucking 8th that's fire at a killer price.
Wow, you're giving me goosies. I like that one.
Just give it a try and we'll just, you know, roll from there.
There you go. That's cool. So I see you in the van rolling around the state, and we've talked about this a little bit just in some of our conversations. Like I've seen more of the state this year, I think, than I've ever seen. You know, just, you know, generally I wouldn't get to the city of Patterson. I wouldn't get to Watsonville. I wouldn't get to Marina, right? All really cool places. You know, I'm moving up and down the Central Coast a little bit. We'll see if there's any announcements. And, you know, it's cool. My wife will, you know, usually drive me, for lack of a better way of saying it, be my roll dog.
Yeah, so you could fucking be in the mobile office.
Like, you know, whatever. But so I see you rolling around the state, and people, you know, I mean, I think you realize it on some level that like, wow, California is really this diverse state. But when you get stuck in the, you know, whatever, you know, Long Beach, LA area, you think of the Bay or maybe a few other parts. So I like when you pull over and you're like at some, you know, lake in the middle of.
I just did one of those videos earlier at Seal Beach.
Yeah, I love
just for, because a lot of the people that are following my page at this point, I don't know what journey they think we're going on, but, you know, it's a trippy journey because I'm trying to, like, you know, they met me through cannabis at dispensaries with me trying to, you know, let them know about our farm, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, who the fuck is this travel dude? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I'm trying to explain to them. Yeah, I'm telling them like, hey, I'm doing this small brand thing. If you want to, you know, ride along on the journey, here it is. You know what I mean? But I've been, you know, getting up and down and all around the state forever, you know what I mean? Just because we, you know, the thing about our state that's fucking amazing is we have like a little bit of all 50 states almost in our state. It's so fucking beautiful. You know, right when you just get out of Frisco or LA.
Even on the coast, like you look at the San Francisco to Santa Cruz to, you know, Orange County to these are all like wildly different places. And then once you get inland, you realize like, wow, there's all these, you know, crazy landscapes. I was just at a meeting in Ojai. It's like
ag in California is fucking crazy. It's something to be mesmerized by, but let's not let them own cannabis just yet, okay? Because it's those fucking guys, the 35-acre spots, you know, that are just mechanized, trying to straight just be the Budweiser, the central production of cannabis. And then, you know, when they squash us little dudes, they'll be like, barriers, moats, all kinds of different, you know, fences to fucking get in the industry. I have people at dispensaries sometimes be like, man, that's so sick, bro. You have your own farm. And I'm laughing in my head because I'm like, bro, all I got is a fucking job and like 9 days a week. And I'm living in my Sprinter, driving around the state, trying to make sure I keep this momentum. But, you know, the goal is just to get my self-established up in the NorCal area, because that's where I'm from. You know, that's most of my roots. Then established some of the LA stores through you guys, and then some San Diego stores, and I'm good to go. I'm just doing my disability shit down in San Diego with a bunch of veterans, a bunch of other homies that we all do surfing. You know, that's in 2015, I went over to Hawaii, thinking, man, what the fuck am I going to do in Hawaii? I'm going to stare at the sand, be pissed off because I used to take my kids out surfing right there. I used to fucking run on this beach. I used to be an able-bodied human. And now I'm going to stare at the sand thinking, I fucking hate this. And I went over there, entered this contest because, you know, you have to always push yourself. You got to do shit that you're not comfortable doing because you never know what's going to happen. Man, I went out to this surf contest. The break was called, or still is called, Queens. It's a fucking sick break on the South Shore because I surf, skated, snowboarded, everything, you know, before my gunshot wound. And to not have any, you know, recreational sports like that after, it's hard. And so I went over there, met a sick ass community, a bunch of tribe, fucking, you know, paralyzed people from all over the world that were getting after it. Dudes from South Africa to England to, you know, Colombia, Brazil, Costa Rica, everything. And so, dude, it's been a sick voyage, or a little, you know, journey on just the wheelchair side, you know, getting a gunshot wound and just exploring like we talked about Alcatraz.
Right.
You fucking did Alcatraz. I did Alcatraz.
Right.
That shit was sick, right?
Yeah.
You know you're alive, bro, when you do shit that you don't think you can do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And especially with us being paralyzed, doing crazy shit, it pushes us, and it's hard to do, of course, no doubt. But it's just as hard for you to go run 5 miles right now.
Baby,
you know what I mean?
Be hard,
okay,
right?
Or 2 miles.
I'm just kidding, but yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's the thing about like people being, you know, compassionate about me being in a wheelchair. They're like, bro, man, that sucks. You must be really challenged, and I am. But our challenges are all pretty equal, because if you can't overcome your challenge, the fuck does it matter if I'm paralyzed in a wheelchair from my chest down?
Well, that honestly, from the and I don't say this to blow smoke, from the moment I met you until today, and look, everybody obviously when they have a moment or whatever, you're going to have ups and downs, but from them, I never even thought like, oh, this dude's in a chair. Like, just like it never.
No,
like,
that's rad. That's
and it's
that's
not
what
like
we're going for.
Yeah, and I don't know like how to explain that other than like, and I don't want that to come off as flip, but it was just like you might as well have been anybody in that room, and you're just as engaged, just as involved, and just, you know, being able to kind of like be in it.
That goes right.
Is
back,
impressive.
Hey, that goes right back to the brand ambassador and the me doing my own in-store stuff.
Right.
We have to be extroverts. You know what I mean? We have to be outgoing. If you run into a dude in a wheelchair and he's an angry motherfucker, what's that going to happen with the rest of your wheelchair encounters? I just fucked it for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But when I'm when I'm doing my in-stores, I'm trying to communicate with the customers like, hey, this is why we have really good flour. This is what's going on, explaining the industry to them a little bit about not letting it get centralized, keeping it decentralized while it is
love that message. I love that message.
If you let it get centralized, you think it's going to be easy to decentralize it at that point?
No, it's done.
I mean,
no, they're going to sell to big pharma and it's done. Yeah.
And so, and then at that point, everybody's smoking on the same strains. They're all fucking labeled different, but they're all, you know, manufactured from fucking who the God knows up in wherever. And, you know, they'd love to not even have to do it in California. Right. You know, as soon as that fucking, you know, obviously, you know, at the right time, I'm sure they'd be all.
No, I like the way you put it, decentralizing, because look, you know, uplifting the craft farmer and you know, making sure the legacy guys, the guys that are coming correct, you know, stay around. I like the word decentralizing, because without that, I do think there's, you know, a lot of negative things, you know, that could happen. And you know, who knows, maybe in the end, some of these, whatever you want to say, you know, positive ideas that you would like to see happen inevitably fold in. But I think while we're here, and if, you know, we have a little platform and position, that's what we should be fighting for, the decentralization.
That's what I try to let people know about, because they're all supportive of it. They just don't know.
No, a lot of them don't know. Like, you could take a product, and I won't call people out. You could take a product off the shelf and be like, hey, do you know the story behind this, right? And then, you know, why we really did this. So this is just like a passion project, because from what I see, and, you know, it was really cool. The guy, you know, last week, Josh, we had on, never had been on podcast shy guy, right? And this is actually fairly typical among growers. Still some that won't come on, but just putting those stories out, because to me, those are the heroes of the industry, right? And then also, like, you know, again, we'll see if we could build the audience organically, but the people that are going to tune in and watch this for an hour, right? Long form content, not just a 40-second, you know, get off, I think are going to appreciate, hopefully, what we're talking about. And then if we can get, you know, a couple hundred bud tenders to be watching, that message starts to get amplified and spread, because I do think there's a good percentage of the consumers that may not know, you know, the story. Just like, you know, you go to the store, you go buy cereal, you don't really know the story behind it. And it would be nice to keep cannabis, to your point, decentralized. And those stories should matter to people, I think.
Well, if you don't keep it decentralized, it's not going to be a variety of different strains. It's not going to be grown differently. It's just, you know how it is.
Right.
You have some fire fucking whatever, bro, and you have two dudes growing it or two different grows growing it, it's going to be different.
Right.
So it's like, if people enjoy variety, which people enjoy variety, and if they don't, have them smoking on the same shit for a minute,
right? And
they'll be like, my God,
I like steak. Nobody likes it every day.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, like, nobody likes the same strain all the fucking time.
So
you know?
Let me talk to you about the IG thing, because it's been a funny thing in my life that I would have never like expected to get involved in, because like I didn't even really get on, you know, it was Facebook back then until I got into weed, because I wanted to start reading the news. It's kind of the initial thing. And then about 3 years ago, you know, Nathan's like, hey, you should just go out there and start talking, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, whatever, now I gotten into it, like on a daily, I'll like, all right, try to come up with a thought, or they just come up, right?
Yeah.
And then try to put it out there. And then, you know, it is a 40-second soundbite. You know, the hope is that, you know, on an hour podcast, you could kind of get, you know, some more points across. But I remember you kind of saying like, hey, I'm gonna hit it up, you know, elbowing me a little bit, like, yeah, bitch, all right, I'm watching. I see what you're doing. So, you know, how is it, you know, because, you know, I think naturally, especially, you know, you're coming from like, you know, 20 years old school, you know, 30 almost, right? You know, how is it to now put your face out front, tell your story, be on Instagram? Do you find it like therapeutic? Like, how do you determine you're going to put up a post? Like, sometimes for me,
you know, I don't know.
It's
totally like that, probably.
Right. I think sometimes for me, like, sometimes I'm doing it because it's a thought I want to get across. Other times, like, I feel like I'm getting it out. It's almost my way of, I'm going to let it out. But, you know, I'll see you pull over. So, you know, how do you determine, like, I'm going to post about this shit today. I'm doing some pull-ups. I'm going to post about this shit today. Or, oh, what I really like was your in-store, your little in-store setup and fast.
Okay.
You're advanced, man.
Yeah.
You got the fast motion. I don't have that.
You know, it's funny because I'm just learning.
Right.
Like, I got on Instagram in 2011 when I got shot.
Right.
Because my kids were on it and they were like, oh, it's Instagram. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Sure.
So I go on there, I create a fucking account, and I just, you know, I'm a stalker, in a sense. You know what I mean? I never wanted to post a damn thing.
Right.
My picture was an eagle. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I'm a patriot, man. I love our country.
cool.
So it's like, boom, eagle. 10 years, 12 years later, I start having to be a fucking social media guy,
Yeah.
which I'm not shy. You know that.
Right.
You know that. I'm not a shy guy, but I'm not about putting my life on the internet, man. That's weird. But you know what I've kind of come to find out is a lot of people actually admire it. And
100%. It's a good, powerful story, man.
they're all like, hey, dude, I love your content. I'm like, whoa, what a trip. I wouldn't. Yeah, it's hell of awkward, man, because I've never been an attention seeker, never been, I mean, other than a class clown.
Right.
I want to make my buddies laugh, you know what I'm saying? I want to fucking, you know, have a good time like everybody. But at the same time, it's like inspiring people and motivating people, that's not a problem. I've always done that, but that's just been me doing me.
Right.
You know, I'm not being somebody I'm not. I'm just like, hey, bro, if you need a little uplifted talk. I was counseling dudes named Big Joe, bro, when I was 16. You know what I mean? I just grew up around a lot of crazy shit, and I grew up fast. I mean, I had my first kid when I was 16. My oldest son's 31 now, you know? Fact of the matter is the social media shit is definitely a trip, man. I don't know how I do it. And I'm just like, even doing this today, like I posted something today, I think it's just all organic. You know, I'm just going to try to be me. Once I'm not being me, I'm done.
No, I think 100%, like the authenticity, like,
you know what I mean?
No, and every once in a while. So what do you think?
I want to try to keep the content to, I think like what I probably could have did on this podcast was narrowly focused.
Right.
I'm all over the fucking place. You know what I mean? But
I'm always like, fuck, man, this dude is,
Oh, I'm
covering ground.
I'm going to be back up doing an in-store tomorrow in the Fresno area.
Nice.
Fucking, bro, I love the customers. They're fucking amazing people.
100%.
They're stoked to get good ass flower at a fucking fair ass price. I mean, what else could you be, bitching about? I grow weed. I sell weed. Yeah. It's hard work sometimes. Well, all the time.
All the time.
But there's a lot of joy in it. That's the culture thing I'm talking 100%, about.
100%. Like,
you know what I mean? And I'm a smoker, bro. So like, of course, I'm medicating and chilling. You know what I mean? So I'm always trying to stay, a little lifted.
You're going to cry. You got the like, and like, I just know, and I said, this is going to be the fastest. Like we could go 2-3. This is going to be the fastest hour. And I just think there's so much good shit there. And then, to the point of the customer, you're having a bad day or you're grinding, you're working hard, even if it's just like a normal day, 10, 12 hours. And then it's always nice to get a little, praise or whatever. Sometimes it's a little embarrassing, but like when a customer is like, man, I just love coming to your shops, or we have an opening.
Craziest thing. Let me tell you a couple little situations. Cause I've only been doing this for like a few months. You know what I mean? Like I started hard, bro, in March. I thought I was going to be crushing, dude. So we should have talked about a bunch of this shit, but I didn't. I thought I was going to be crushing.
That's
first 4 weeks. I'm fucking going to be in like so many stores. But anyway, I'm in stores, and like even myself, bro. Like I'm not looking for a pity party ever. You know what I'm saying? But when people are a trip, dude, they're just angry. You know what I mean? Let's just say a person is fucking mad. Like, I'm like, hey, how's it going today? Are you shopping for any flour? And they're just like, ugh, and somebody else will notice it. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, hey, don't trip. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what that girl just went through this morning. I don't know. I was explaining this to, the not the bud tenders, but the people that check you in.
Right. The reception, yeah.
Bro, I was telling her because she wanted to get a little crazy about how crazy the girl was. And I'm like, look, you and I don't know. She could have lost her son yesterday.
100%.
I don't know. And granted, yeah, she was being a little rude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm going to let that shit roll right off me because I can't control how she feels, but I can control how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And then a fucking couple customers later, bro, because I got these little rolling trays and shit because, you got to be a marketing genius. You got to be all this shit. I'm like, hey, and he's like, bro, Murphy's Ridge. I've been buying your shit, bro. I've been telling everybody about it. And it's funny because it makes you smile, makes you stoked, and you're not all like, damn, that one chick was just, just being a little rude.
I think sometimes I always say the cray ones are the ones you could flip to.
Well, I've had dudes that were a little spun out, you know what I'm saying? Fucking looking at me all like, and I'm like, I'm seeing family almost, you know what I mean? Because I've been through it when it comes to drug abuse.
Right.
I'm looking at this guy and he's looking at me and I'm like, hey, moving on to the next guy. Hey, how's it going? Shopping for any flour today? Because, you got to be, dude, there's 9,000 options on the shelf.
Right.
If they don't know anything about you or a reason or something to like give you a shot, bro, they're going to the shelf, they're buying whatever their regular, transaction is or whatever the bud tender kind of like tells them is, the deal of the day or whatever. And boom, it's over. You're never going to get another interaction with them. So that's why like I couldn't go with the ambassadors. I'm like, God bless them. Do you know what I'm saying? I have nothing against them. I've seen bad ones. I've seen good ones.
Right.
I've been in there working my magic, bro. I work the line. I work everything. I tell if they're selling something, I'm like, boom, she's got you taken care of. I will be feeding the other ambassador customers. You know what I mean? But some of them are like, holy shit. Like, dude, to watch you work the floor, it's crazy. And I laugh because I'm like, bro, this is what that company wants you to do.
Right. 100%. So like I used to interview everybody. I've kind of morphed it into like right before we're open, I'll do like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Then I want them to hear from me what Catalyst is all about. And there's a few different things, but the one to me that's critical that I really love that you're in that, just preaching that too. It's the vibe. And they got a vibe high all the time. And if they have a negative person come in.
Well, I think sales, bro, is one of the best trainers for life because you get rejections, you get accepted, you get every different emotion. And it's like one of my sons is doing door knocking right now, like literally selling solar door to door.
Right.
And I'm fucking stoked. I love it. I'm like, bro, he's got, because it's a hard job.
Right.
And it's like doing hard things makes you a better person.
100%.
And so it's like, I want the ambassador or even the bud tenders or anybody in their life at any position. I want you to try to be a better person, not for me, but for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like when I'm with other people, I'm always trying to uplift them. And I'm always trying to be like, hey, you should get into it a little harder. Because if you don't want to be ambassador forever and you start crushing it on the floor, you could probably move up.
Right.
Or I was even telling this one girl, she got laid off. Okay, a couple mergers. I forget what the companies were. They're just all corporate fucking company shit up in San Jose. Cool chick. I won't say who she is, but she lives out in the city. She showed up at a dispensary last Thursday, I think, and said, Sean, it's my last time. I'm out of here. I got laid off. I told her a killer idea I had for her. If she wanted to run with it, smash it and call me up. I'll help you in any way, shape, or form I can. I said, start. And then, because she's good, dude, she'd be out there working the floor, telling people about cartridges, whatever, flour, pre-rolls, just everything that her company provided. And I admire that because not many of them do that. They stand by the booth and they literally wait for you to come to them. You're not coming to them.
Nobody's going to push your own message more than you. And that's what
but when you run into sales reps that are representing brands the right way, it's amazing because
not to say they can't do a great.
Oh, they're doing it. I've seen them. Right. I've seen a bunch of them stand there though on their phone, not engaging. And my thing is like, hey, you start engaging with people, it's going to make you a better person. You're going to become a better sales rep. And if you're not in it to help sales or do, representation of product and tell people the story, what are you here for?
No, 100%.
So the thing is I told her, I said, look, do your own company and create and help the brands represent them correctly. And she's like, well, I think it's a great idea.
Right.
I'm saying it on this podcast because somebody might fucking
run with it. Right.
Jinx.
Yeah.
But
I'll say this, the reps actually have a direct correlation in our footprint. I can't speak for outside on how things do, right? And the ones that have been successful, speaking of culture, I don't know how to describe the Catalyst culture in a word, but if you've been able to immerse yourself within the culture and then you're just part of it, your brand also does good. Obviously the product has to be there. And then that's the thing I say to the bud tenders, which is like, I can't do all the transactions all day long. Not to say I'd be great at it, but I'd give it a go, right? But at the end of the day, like that vibe, they have to do that for us. And for me, that's a representation of what Catalyst, every transaction. So whatever it was while we were sitting here, 1,000 transactions, maybe more, went down. I hope every single one of those got a good vibe, positive energy,
and a good feeling. I've been to some of your stores and bought product just for, shits and giggles. And all my interactions were amazing. The bud tenders or whoever was dealing with me from the start to finish was really good. And their vibe was great. No, that's the thing, the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
I love when I get a DM that's like, yo, Jimmy helped me today. Out of the blue, right? You're just chilling. Jimmy helped me today. I just want to say that motherfucker's cool as shit.
You're talking about the final part of it. I'm talking about just getting the customer to consider giving you a fucking chance.
Right. Well,
let alone the store helping you move any kind of product. Because at the end of the day, the product has to speak for itself. It has to be able to,
Well, this is a real thing. So like one example I could give, and this is just a little microcosm, but so 420 of this year, at that moment, we had 15 stores in SoCal. So I was like, I'm gonna go to all of them. Let's do it, right? Because it's cool. It's like a time warp. And they all mean a lot to me because every one of those doors was fucking hard as shit to open, right? And so, I'm going through them all, boom, boom, boom. We start all the way out. I stay the night in Indio to start in the Palm Desert one. We just, is this a mission? You get into LA, you hit them a little faster.
For sure, 15 stops in a day.
There's one brand that's basically in maybe 11 of them or so, right? And I'm like, pretty fucking good. I'm impressed. Even sent him a little text like, good job, boss. Man, you're fucking repping hard. Like you didn't make it to Hemp. You made it almost all the way out there, right? Yeah. And so anyway, we get the 420 sales. So I think they're like 7th or 8th generally. They're a good selling brand, but they won 420, right? And the reason was clearly they had a presence in every fucking store. So, and that just reinforced this idea. There's no substitute for that presence. And then, guys are throwing, high marketing dollars at all sorts of other shit. Like that personal touch and then the word of mouth is just invaluable. And I think the more that people get to know you and the product, like, you got the formula.
Well, yeah. And it just is going to take work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everybody's always like, bro, you're going to blow up. I'm like laughing, like, stop. It doesn't fucking happen overnight. Even my boys that, you know we got fire. It doesn't matter. That goes back to like me having connections and not even getting into stores for 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
One's guilty.
And it's fine.
Right.
But that's the way it goes. You know what I mean? Even if I tried to cram it down your throat, Caleb's throat, any other one of my contacts, it would have been fucking cheesy.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't have been authentic. It would have been like, oh, you know, let's do it on a you know, scale of whatever you're comfortable with.
Right.
It's like, you know, you guys putting me on those 3 stores.
Shout out to those 3 stores.
Absolutely.
But they're not the highest volume.
Bro, when I was at the Marina store, it's like I said, I was in there.
I'll say that Marina got a fucking fire ass vibe every time I go in there.
Well, the dude, the reason it'll always be on my fucking, you know, memory is because homeboy comes in, dude's like, bro, that's my shit, you know, and just this fucking yoked out brother, like probably about fucking 6'4", wearing a bunch of cool ass shit. And I'm obviously up by the front. He's like, Murphy's Ridge, bro, that's my shit. Where's the Zang, dude? They're out of stock. And I'm laughing in my head because I'm thinking, like, you know, as a vendor.
You only bought 16, motherfucker.
No, I gave him 32.
Right.
No, I put my foot down. I said, you're not getting 16 of 4 strings. You're getting 32 counts. Pick which you want.
Right.
You don't
there
get
you
4.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, that was me venting.
Right.
You know, I tell my distro manager, no, we're not fucking doing 16 of each.
Right.
No. 32. Forget it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, but anyway, it was killer. It was fucking killer. It was like dealing with one of those customers that comes in and says, bro, I've been buying your weed.
Right. Well, the super cool part, going back to the people with cannabis, as we're like, and not to get too political, but it does.
But hey, but as a vendor, being in a store, just dropping in to shake hands, because I couldn't do a demo.
Right.
I just came in to buy a couple carts or something and shake hands and just say, hey man, I'm Sean Ryan. I own the farm. I just wanted to apologize for not doing an in-store yet. And having that dude say that shit, because I didn't plan that. You know what I mean? And the manager's hearing all that. That's killer as a vendor.
No, 100%. And the cool part about weed is, you know, like, as we kind of like, not to get political, devolve a little bit into some of this tribalism, I actually think cannabis does away with that. Whereas like, you got a 6'4" brother yoked out that rolls in, he's down. And then, you know, whatever.
Well, the thing,
whatever the opposite of that would be, right? In theory,
5'6" tweaker from a trailer park. I don't know.
But
fun out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you get the point. But so we're all these diverse different things. And then I think a lot of the point, hopefully, of cannabis and what the culture is it breaks down that thing. Like, I think if there's an industry that is as diverse as anything, and then we're not just backing into I'm part of this tribe or I'm part of that tribe. It's like, no. We're putting all that aside because we're in this cannabis industry and you don't know who's going to walk in, right? You could have an old man, you could have a granny, you could have a 22-year-old, you know, female, you could have a 50-year-old, you know, it's all different, you know, walks of life.
Everybody smokes or takes edibles or vapes or does, you know, whatever. That's the amazing thing about the market nowadays compared to, you know, what it's come from, you know. Just having killer green bud, skunk bud, maybe some Panama red and some Thai stick, peach Thai, shit like that from the 80s and the early 90s. And then all the way to 2023, fire.
Changed a lot.
Yeah. It's shit time.
Like, you know, speaking of the brick weed, it was just that. And like basically the BC, and then the BC was like.
Back in the 80s, we had that because one homie in the neighborhood, this Hell's Angel Big Chuck used to bring the skunk bud down. That's when my dad would get the skunk bud. Ooh. All
right. So
that was a whole different ball game at that point.
The shit went fast. So as we wind down, you know, what's like strains, kind of like what's ahead of us, you know, anything you want to, you know, throw out there is you know kind of what's happening next.
Yeah, here's what I want to throw out there for Murphy's Ridge: single source flower, concentrates, edibles, cartridges. Duh. Nursery, we don't buy anything from anybody off of our farm. Everything's in house. Everything's processed, owned and operated by veterans too. You know, I'm. My gunshot wound was fucking obviously here in California. I never claimed to have any kind of fucking combat experience where I got blasted over in Afghanistan or Iraq. But my partners that own a manufacturing and extraction permit in Chico, we run all our product through them. We did a partnership with Calia, but that was just a one thing. I think I said their name right. I don't know.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
God bless Mark and hold on, Joseph. And we both have the same last name. That's why I didn't think it was going to go down like that, guys. But, but
little shade at
no,
the end.
I can't move.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's what I see in the future. Small craft farms dialing in their markets and just trying to focus on what they do good. Don't try to go quantity over quality, because once you go quantity, you don't have quality, and you have neither. You have quantity that nobody wants and quality that sucks. You know what I mean? That's been everybody's. I mean, this podcast is too short to talk about everything.
Oh man,
we talk about. But you know, that's the problem with everybody trying to be like, oh, we're gonna fucking go to California and just crush it. You know, and they're gonna grow whatever the stackable. You're the lawyer, dude. You know all this legal shit. I don't know nothing about all this stuff. But the way they've done us in the small farm,
they did it dirty.
It's very challenging to stay afloat out there.
Right.
So that's what I see in the future. Just collabs with true, you know, with OG motherfucker. I know I'm an OG, but I feel young as fuck.
Yeah.
True people that are in the game, doing their thing, doing little collabs, us all keeping the industry fucking vibrant, diverse, and diversified, and, you know, keeping the small farmers alive. That's what I hopefully see in the industry.
I love it, man.
Because otherwise, where are we at?
I mean, and this right here,
all this shit to fucking.
This is what you get. I've known this guy for a while. Even when we caught up, like, never missed a beat. And I think there's so many fucking good themes that you touched on that I believe in, that I think are important to get out there. Decentralization, super fucking important. That intimate contact with the customer, always keeping the vibe high. Then you're just hustling your grit and the understanding that, like, I don't think anybody's ever made it in any industry with that, like, didn't have to go through some shit, but you're fucking coming at it with, you know, maybe a little bit of a disadvantage of everybody else and going harder than anybody. And then just keeping that optimism no matter what. Look, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. And just keep grinding it up slowly. This man right here is going to be a success. And if you're walking into a catalyst store, give Murphy's Ridge a try. It's as good as anything we got on there at that number. And Sean right here, real motherfucker. I'm blessed to have had him on, man. You just uplifted my day. That's for fucking sure. Weed for the People podcast, episode 13, out.